Hi, I guess it's been a while since we last spoke. Hope you liked the April Fool's video. I thought it was pretty funny. Jokes aside though, I know I was gone for a while, but I have a new mic and I think this topic is fairly interesting enough to give me a pass for my absence. Today we'll be combining the adult Zelda with pure Zelda and asking the question, could Link save Lordran? Now, honestly asking if he can save it is a bit dishonest, I'll admit. So I apologize. I guess the right question would be, what would Link see as the best solution to help this world? So go into the discussion with that in mind. Link can't fix all the issues, but he can make the world a bit better. I would go into the ins and outs of what is Lordran, but I'm not trying to get into the time shenanigans. It's super weird, but super cool, and if you're interested in understanding without playing the games, I think you should go to Vati Vidya, who I'll link below in the description. However, I do want to give an explanation on what the undead are and hollowification. An undead is anyone who has been branded by the dark sign, so Link won't be one of them. The dark sign appears randomly on people in periods when the first flame starts to burn low. You don't have to die or be hollow. You don't have to be undead to get to Lordran either. There is simply a prophecy that says that undead wishing to learn more about their fate must travel to Lordran and ring the bells of awakening. So we see many undead characters who have come to Lordran believing in a cure or looking for answers. Common understanding is that everyone was hollow at the beginning until 4 hollows found their Lord souls near the first flame. The death soul turned one hollow into Nito, the life soul turned another into Izalith, the light soul turned one into Gwyn, and finally the last hollow found the dark soul. The last hollow became the furtive pygmy, but he split the dark soul and shared it with other hollows, and that is why there are so many humans. Humans have spread and live all across the world, and Lordran is simply the homeland of the gods. It was built above and around the first flame. Now, with that out of the way, we need some ground rules, I'm sure you'd agree. For starters, which Link are we sending to Lordran? I thought long and hard about this, and I feel like the answer that would be most interesting for me is the hero of Twilight. I'll explain why later, I promise. Just understand I chose this Link because it leads to an interesting conversation, and that's what media discussion is. A conversation. I want you to give me your thoughts just as much as I'm giving you mine. Even if you disagree with the outcome, this will be fun and interesting to brainstorm over. Now, when are we sending this hero to Lordran? I say right after Twilight Princess. This way he loses the Master Sword, and theoretically, because we don't know if he still wields it, he loses the Triforce of Courage too. I know we don't see him give up his Triforce of Courage, but obviously, 4 Sword Adventures Link doesn't have a Triforce piece. So unlike Ocarina Link, Twilight Link doesn't keep his Triforce piece and pass it down to his descendant. Sorry for the tangent, but yeah, just needed to point this out. The Triforce, just like in the Oracle games, sends Link to this world to defeat an evil that is seen as a threat to Hyrule. Link, being the guy he is, once he realizes this world is facing its own peril, he will decide to step in to make sure that this place is safer than when he came to it. I strongly believe he's not in any danger of becoming an undead, or if he does, going hollow because of the spirit of the hero. Echoes of Wisdom showed us that, whether people like it or not, it protects and makes him stronger than most. He's going to have a hard time because the information he receives from people will be a bit conflicting, but that's why I chose this Link, because I think this Link will see through the shenanigans, not because he's smarter than the others, but because of his own personal experiences, honestly. I guess we can talk about some enemies he may face. The Asylum Demon will be Link's first opponent. Won't be anything too dangerous, he can handle this fairly easily. Same with Taurus and the Bell Gargoyles. The Gaping Dragon could be a bit difficult, but not any more difficult than Argorok. Seath could have caused trouble if not for the fact that he destroys the crystal, making him immortal. And I think Link wouldn't have much trouble with most people in a combat scenario, but might feel a bit conflicted morally in some battles. Like, say with Dark Sun Gwendolyn. Let's talk about that. Out of everyone he'd face, Gwendolyn would be one of the most tragic. And remember, Link isn't here to flex his power, he's trying to help. And this would be a situation where Link has to fight someone who has already been through enough. He's fighting a victim, and that's not an easy pill to swallow. I think he'd defeat them, but not cut them down. There's no need for that. He's just trying to find people who will talk and give him information so he can think about what would be the best way of helping these people with the current state of their world. He needs to understand the source of it. Nito is where I would like to say things get interesting, but Link doesn't really struggle here either, and the human remains all over the body, doesn't give Link any reason to have sympathy or hold back. Link has every advantage here. He's not normal. He was born for battles like this. He'd crush him. Artorias is another soul he'd feel conflicted battling. Artorias, who he has been told was a hero, much like himself, has fallen to corruption and darkness. This would probably make Link have a little restraint. Link isn't merciless, as much as people try to pretend he is. Link isn't heartless. Fighting a hero who has succumbed to corruption, when he knows this could have easily been himself during his quest for the fused shadow. I don't see Link treating Artorias like he's a random mindless bokoblin that he kills on the daily in Hyrule Field. No, this is a hero for Lordran, a hero that fell. I think he'd put Artorias down with time, but would feel incredibly guilty about it, as for all intents and purposes, Artorias didn't do anything wrong. He was corrupted and Link had to defend himself. And he knows, as well as the rest of us, Artorias wasn't going to back down. He was too far gone. By the time Link reaches Gwyn, I believe he'll be certain in what he must do. He has seen what the people of this world are going through, and once he defeats Gwyn, he will be sent back to Hyrule, being that he is the threat the Triforce told about and sent him here to vanquish. I think this is going to be Link's hardest fight. Once he realizes his bow and bombs aren't quite useful here, he'll take him head-on in sword combat. Without the Master Sword, this battle is a lot tougher than it otherwise would be. Gwyn will be the only real danger he faces in this quest. Link's reactions are far greater than Gwyn's, being able to fight shadow beasts who literally defeated the beings made of and who put out literal light into the universe of Zelda. Link would be able to close out the victory here, but it'd be hard. He doesn't have his Triforce or the Master Sword now. If it sounds like I'm giving Gwyn too much credit and Link not enough, I need you to remember that everything Twilight Princess Link does from the beginning of his game to the end, he's got a Triforce piece. He's being empowered. We never see him in base, so to speak. He's depowered here. And we could argue about how big of an amp the Triforces are, but it doesn't really matter because Echoes of Wisdom came out, and that game told us in no subtle way that each of the Triforces were extremely potent, and so the final battle was up to purely Zelda and Link. If you disagree, I get it. I'm sorry for this tangent. I just don't want people to think I'm downplaying Twilight Link. I'm just taking things in context. I'm being generous enough saying he can still keep up with Shadow Beasts, to be honest. If anything, I'm showing him bias, because he's featless without his Triforce piece. Now that aside, I've been pretty vague about Link handling this situation. And here's why. This Link, after dealing with Ganondorf, would be the only Link to assume that there are bad gods. Not because the golden goddesses are bad, but simply because of a matter of perspective that no other Link has. Because as far as he knows, the gods gave Ganondorf his Triforce in the middle of his execution. He doesn't have the context we do about his granddad's timeline jumping. All he knows is what the ancient sages told him about the situation that day. That's all his context. That's why I chose him. I think he's going to allow for the flame to die out and let humanity take its course instead of doing what the gods want. Because a lot of the conflicting information comes from things written by the gods pretending to be people, and he'd pick up on this based on language, how things are spoken. The issue here is that Link can't be the Lord of Darkness. He has to go home. He can't stay here. So after being sent back to Hyrule, he'll go to Princess Zelda so that he can make a wish on the Triforce. And yes, he would know about this because Ganondorf talked about this before their fight. Link's wish here is to usher in the Age of Dark. And admittedly, that sounds bad. But I believe this is absolutely something Link would do after learning of Gwyn and how he shackled humanity and just how bad things were. Link, regardless of the incarnation, is the kind of character who helps. He helped a demon become human. He finds demons living in caves or houses and leaves them be. Sure, they pay him, but I doubt that's why Link leaves. He has transferred letters between a girl and a moblin she has a crush on. Link is the kind of character who has assassins sent after him daily, and instead of killing them, he beats them up and lets them retreat. Yes, he killed a Yiga soldier that was going to kill Zelda, but like I said, he was about to kill Zelda. My point is, Link doesn't just run around taking lives. Link is a hero of Hyrule, but Hyrule is the people. If the king or queen were unjust, I have no doubts Link would stand against them. He does what he does because it's right. It's about doing what is right. That's what makes Link a hero. Look no further than Triforce Heroes. Link helps people. So why usher in a world of dark? Link comes from a world where the gods are good, where the kingdom is good. Would he not assume the same here? My answer is no. Especially not the hero of Twilight. 'Cause outside of Tumblr and Twitter fan art, Link isn't stupid. He can be silly, but he's not a moron. Once Link ushers in the world of dark, he will use the Triforce back in Hyrule to wish for someone to be the Dark Lord in his place, someone good and true. You have to understand the old gods left the Triforce in Zelda to give humanity hope. Link is a walking representation of that hope. If Link pieced together that the gods of this world were unjust, shackled their people, he wouldn't allow them to stay in power. I don't see the dark ending as the same thing that Manus does to Ulasil. Ulasil was consumed when the abyss began to spread out of control due to Manus's humanity. Manus's humanity going is what caused the humanity of the residents of Ulasil to go wild as well. This is not the same thing that would happen under the reign of the Dark Lord. Link would allow for humanity to have hope, and a future unshackled by the dark signs and things of that nature. I chose Twilight Link because he's the least likely to fall for the gods' shenanigans. He'd question everything, because in his journey, he's told the gods gave the bad guy a power buff. In his journey, the mistakes of Hyrule are why the Twilight are invading. The others don't deal with this. They do it because they would think they're helping. They're trying to save people. Ocarina Link didn't think twice about how a letter from Ruto, who was inside Lord Jabu Jabu, could be in the middle of the lake. He saw someone needed help, and that was the important thing to him, not the details. But hey, that's just me. What about you? Do you agree or disagree? What Link do you think would be best suited for a quest like this? Let me know. And thanks for watching all the way through to the end. See you later. Hopefully not in a month this time. We'll see. No promises.